Welcome to Unscripted, the Siena Hoops podcast. I'm your host, Joe Lemery. We have a special episode today. We're with new Siena men's basketball head coach, Gerry McNamara, and we have Scott Noel alongside us joining us today. So, Gerry, we're really excited to have you with Siena. This is an exciting time for the program. So we'll start with your background. You come from Scranton, Pennsylvania Player of the Year in 2002. You had a great high school career, translated well into college, obviously 4 years with the Orange. How has your youth in basketball then translated into now and where you are sitting right now?
It's a good question. I feel pretty lucky of kind of who I learned underneath. I think from an early age in Scranton, PA, playing at the local down the street gym at Holy Rosary, having great coaching, playing for a great high school coach in John Bucci, and then obviously going to play for a Hall of Fame coach at Syracuse. Now all the way through the ranks of GA to assistant coach to associate head coach, and, now obviously head coach. But I just feel really, really blessed in terms of my basketball background, of who I've been really lucky to work with. I just feel like I've been around the right people.
Yeah, and Syracuse guard from 02 to 06. You actually played against Siena back in 05. You guys won that one 96-77. So you have experience coming here, or actually you played at home, but you have experience playing against Siena. What's Siena team been like playing against? And now you feel like you feel like that culture is still sort of there now?
Yeah, I think historically, when you look back at this program, you always look at as a competitor. You look at this league and you look at Siena as the face or one of the faces of this league, a team that could be at the top of the MAC conference every year. That's what I look at when I look at this opportunity. And one of the pictures in the office right now, in my assistant's office, is us, Syracuse, playing here and playing against Siena. I believe my sophomore year at it was Pepsi then, now MVP now. But this is a winner. It's a winning program. It's got great support, great people, great venue. Playing at MVP is awesome. Being in that arena, feeling that energy. I was lucky. It's kind of full circle. 2003, we go through there to beat Oklahoma. We beat Auburn in Oklahoma to go to the Final Four through that building. Now my first head coaching gig is back here, and getting an opportunity to be the coach on this floor. And what an environment, what an area. I mean, really, the support from the time that I've gotten here to the time that I've stepped on this stage at this nice table to talk to you guys. Like, every minute has been positive. I haven't lost a game yet, which helps. Undefeated. So, it's just been so overwhelmingly positive since I've stepped foot here.
So, Gerry, I was lucky enough in 03. Actually, all the games that you played here, I was doing public address for those games. And I'll never forget the neutral court of the NCAA tournament being not neutral at all. I think every single person in the stands was wearing orange, except maybe like a little small patch in one of the sections that traveled well.
Yep.
I remember talking to Jim Boeheim about this. He said it's just about as loud as he's ever heard anyplace. Is that your recollection?
Yeah. My recollection was literally Selection Sunday when the bracket came out, and I saw, if we get through Boston, we're going to be playing in Albany. Wow. I said, okay, if we could get to the Sweet 16 and be playing in Albany, we're going to be in a really good situation. You have your eye obviously on the one seed, which was Oklahoma. But what a scene, what a venue. I mean, the Let's Go Orange chants when we came in that day. I mean, the place was just littered with orange. And I'm looking to duplicate that, replicate it, and be all Siena fans, obviously, with what we're trying to do. I talked about it even during my press conference. I want people to buy season tickets. I want people to come out. I want to put a product on the court that everybody can be proud of. And a team that's easy to root for. And teams that are easy to root for are the ones that play hard, that give you everything they got. It's all I ever wanted as a basketball coach, is the guys that I worked with, when they step on the court, they're prepared, they're ready to play, and they're willing to leave it out there. And, you live with the results. And that's what I want to coach. Those are the groups that I'm going to be happiest with. I know myself. I know what I can live with. And I think early on in the recruiting process here, we've gone out and gotten the guys that match what I'm about, because they're about the same things. And I want to see that place rocking, because I know what it feels like.
Now, I know, having grown up a Syracuse basketball fan, I went to the Jim Boeheim basketball camp growing up, but I also had fandom for Siena before I even went to college here. But then we built a building. We built that arena downtown in the early 90s. And when Siena made the transition over there, all of a sudden, Siena could play Syracuse.
Yeah.
It wasn't like two different divisions of basketball. We were the same. And so the Syracuse fandom waned a little, and the Siena fandom went up. How big of a recruiting tool is the arena for you? I mean, UConn, national champs a year ago. South Carolina women, national champs this year. They went through our arena to win those national championships. How big of a recruiting tool is that for you at this level?
I know one thing. If you're one of those teams, you hope that you're seeded through Albany. I'd say there hasn't been one recruit that we've taken in there that they haven't looked at and be like, wow, this is legit. This is real. And I think when you talk about getting an opportunity to coach at a place like this, as a coach, you naturally go into things and say, all right, what do we have? What do we need? And this matched everything. And when you have an elite fan base, people willing to support, and then you have the venue to match it, it's a huge recruiting tool. I mean, you walk in that, there wasn't a kid we were recruiting that I probably didn't text the night before my press conference of, look at this, the LSU Iowa women's game, which, by the way, was a great game. So it's an incredible venue, and in recruiting, when you're in recruiting battles and you're out after high level talent, sometimes it might be as simple as, man, look at what we're playing in front of. And that's where fan base and support plays the biggest factor. You're putting people in the seats because they care about this product. And I think playing in that venue, in that building, I think it speaks volumes of what this program expects.
The fans, the arena, and the fact that there is an established NIL collective, that's where this podcast comes from. How important are all three of those? Are they equal? With rank order, the importance: fans, arena, collective.
Man, on the spot.
I didn't prep him for this at all.
I think the first two are equal, and they might put you in position, but the NIL might be the separator. You have to have it. I think the fact that there's a program in place here, a good one, one that has a clear vision, that's obviously backed by good people and people that care, that support it. And I think that's the most important thing when you have these collectives where you have people that are behind it, that the most important thing to them is the success of the school.
Yeah.
That's, I think, where it's most beneficial. I think that's what this is. I know that's what this is. So, again, everything matched what I was looking for. But you absolutely need it. There's not a recruitment that you go through that it doesn't come up. And the fact that we're in position and it's real, I think that there's a lot of oversell under deliver in our industry right now. I will never be one of those people. I never do it in recruiting. I'm certainly not doing it in NIL. And there's a lot of it that's gone on. You hear horror stories for some of these kids that have entered the portal, and people are saying whatever they have to say to them to get them. It's just not how we do it. And it's because we're real.
You talk about the vision of what our program brings. What does Gerry McNamara think envision this program to be?
Hanging banners, championships. It's that simple. I think one of the things, as much as you could fight the system that we're in right now in terms of transfer portal and multi-time transfers, as a first-time head coach, there was no greater opportunity I had to take advantage of that type of system, to come in and actually go out. And obviously, by the time I got the job, many of these guys were already in the portal. So it gave me an opportunity to come in, talk to the guys that did want to stay and be a part of the change. But it goes out and allows me to actually recruit guys that I have relationships with, that I believe in, that I've seen, that I've evaluated, guys that I think can come in here and win right away. So, a lot of times if you're talking about a rebuild, you're talking about 2 or 3 years. Now, in terms of college basketball these days, you can flip it quick. But you could also get the wrong mixture of guys in a very short period of time too. So the most important thing is you're flipping it quick, getting the right people with the right mindset that kind of align with what you're trying to do. So when you ask me my vision for this place, it's absolutely winning championships. I think it's capable. I think it's ready. And I think we've gone out and recruited the way we should in the first few weeks of getting the job, to going out and getting the talent that belongs in this building to go out and compete for championships.
Are we allowed to talk about 9 for 9?
Not yet.
Okay. What are we now? 6 for 6? 7 for 7?
We'll go 7 for 7.
Okay, 7 for 7. That's in reference to
players that step foot on campus.
players who have been on campus and are now going to be on the Siena roster. Which ones? This will be the first time we have a chance to talk about guys. Let's first talk about the guys who stayed. A couple of the guys that the fans already know about. What do you like about their games? And then maybe touch on each of the kids who've signed, and we can talk about at this point what the fans can expect from those players.
Yeah, we'll go down obviously the list of guys that stayed first. Michael, Braylon, Brendan, Kyle, Mosey. I'll give them a ton of credit. I mean, how patient these kids had to be with obviously a coaching change. But then even when I got the job, it took me a week to move out of Syracuse and get up to here full time. I've had multiple conversations with them on the phone, but just the patience of them. And then when we stepped foot, they were really, really patient too in our recruitment. So we have 13 straight days with a kid on campus. I'm working 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. days, and we might set up a workout at 8 p.m. And these guys are in here stretching, getting ready to go. So we were working very, very long days coming back, working with these guys. But, Brendan really shoots it. Michael's an elite athlete, has to slow down a little bit and find his speed, find his timing. Braylon, he moves like a player. He just does all the things that you look for in a player. He's got to be a little bit more productive and efficient in terms of how he gets to it, put a little bit of weight on. And then you have guys like Kyle and Mosey who, those positions, I have great respect for managers, walk-ons. Those guys are the lifeline of your program. They set the tone. Those guys can't be off. They're like coaches. They can't be off any day. I just have a great respect for the maturity and focus and really the energy they bring to practice. And then we've added some pieces. Obviously, we went out right away, and Miles Wilmot committed right away, which is big. He committed before my press conference. I told him, hold on, maybe right before or right after, so we're in position. And, I'm really excited for him because you got a guy with all the talent, the length, the athleticism, the ability to face up and shoot. At his size, 6'9", 230, think about the versatility in that, especially nowadays with how the game is played 4 or 5 out. Can you switch? Can you guard guys in space? But just to get on the board so quickly with a talent like that, it kind of legitimized the vision of what we were trying to do. So, I was really, really happy that he spearheaded this thing because I'm excited for him because I think he's got a lot to show. He hasn't been able to show it in college. You got a list of my guys that
I have Peter Carey. I heard
all
about.
The guys. I can only talk about the guys that are signed. So,
That'd be Peter.
Yeah, Peter. Peter as well. He came in on his official visit with Miles. And, Pete commits right before he leaves, so that made our night. And, just the way I want to play. I've been really, really lucky to have Peter for 2 years. To bring an athletic talent like that from Syracuse to here. He's going to be one of the better athletes in this league. But it's the strength he's put on, the ability to make plays in space, DHOs and roll the rim, finish above the rim. So, Pete gives me a lot of versatility of what I could do on the offensive end for sure.
Give us one more backcourt people want to know about.
Marcus.
Okay.
Who else do we have signed? We have our guys signed. I wrote them down. So I don't know if he's signed.
Okay.
I don't know if he's signed.
Talk about Marcus, and then we'll call it a day.
So we'll talk about Marcus aligns with me.
Yeah.
I recruited Andre so hard. I got to know their family so well. Right here at Albany Academy. And when I called his mother after Marcus went into the transfer portal, I called Trish. I said, hey, when she answered, I said, I'm not trying to go 0 for 2. So I missed Dre. I'm not going 0 for 2. So just right from the start, I wanted the comfort of going in. You know how important it is for a coach to have backcourt position. You need those guards to just be completely focused and locked in on who you are and what you expect. And Marcus Jackson brings all of it. He brings the attitude, the toughness, the selflessness. That's what I admire so much about him is the selflessness. He could care less how many points he scores. He just wants to impact the game and get W's. Yeah. He's going to leave it on the court every single time he plays. He's a lot like his brother. Dre was the same way. So just from the backcourt position, knowing that I got a guy coming in that's just like me, I know that regardless of what happens, he's going to make a mistake, but if he turns the ball over, he's going to hunt you down on the way back. It's just who he is. And I just love players like that. And he's really talented. So let's separate talent. To me, it's about winning attributes, and Marcus Jackson brings it.
So that's a great time to bring up. We have a really good supporter, a fabulous supporter of the collective, who sort of phoned in a question via text to me for you. He wants to know about the Albany Cup. And Marcus, it's the perfect time. Switching sides.
Yeah.
The Albany Cup. Were you aware of the Albany Cup and its importance in our community prior to taking the job?
Okay, so let's rewind a few years ago. I didn't realize this was as big a deal because I think for a long time, sides weren't aligned, right? The game wasn't happening. And that's correct, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then the game did happen, and I knew it was a big deal. And right around the time that all this was going on, I had come up to Albany to the Coaches vs. Cancer, and I received the Inspiration Award that year. And I knew, like, all this was kind of going on at the time I came up, and people were already talking about it. And I'd be lying if one thing all coaches do is we all check scores. So within the first 10 minutes of you, like, literally leaving, if we played a game Tuesday night in the ACC at Syracuse, within 15 minutes of the end of the game, win or lose, like, at some point I'm on the app looking at scores in college basketball. And I remember the night last year when Siena Albany played, and I was scrolling through every score in college basketball, and I got to that score, and I was like, little lopsided. So I actually clicked on it, and I saw it was the second half. Second half, Albany ran away from my understanding of things. But I know it's really important.
Yeah.
And we're in the scheduling process. I can't tell you what day it's going to be right now, but it's going to be early. It's going to be early in the schedule. So
and it's going to be at Stepview.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm really looking.
Broadview,
yeah. I'm looking forward.
They
to
renovated the arena, so it's
that's right.
Nice.
Yeah. So
You will see plenty of people complaining about the fact that they didn't add 5,000 more seats for that game, but
that's fine.
because it'll
Hopefully
sell
it's
out
standing room only.
It'll be standing room only.
Yeah, that's good. So yeah, I'm looking forward to those. It's good for the game. You know, it's good for this area. I think one of the things that I've really admired even at Syracuse with what Coach Boeheim did in scheduling is he always held those games. He always held Cornell and Colgate.
Sure.
We look at what Matty Langham's been able to do at Colgate.
Sure.
And, you know, does playing Syracuse every year have helped him get that program?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he's a phenomenal coach, and what he's done is unprecedented. You know, that's been remarkable. So, I know how important it is to hold certain games, and especially regional games. And now in the day and age where who the heck knows what league you're going to be in, and you could lose every emotional tie you had to any real true rivalry. And when you have them, you have to do your best to keep them.
And you mentioned attitude, toughness, energy. Like, how's the mentality in today's game with young kids? Do you think it's different from when you played, and do you think it's still at a level that's excellent for basketball?
Yeah, that's kind of a loaded question. A little bit of everything. I don't think it's different. I think coaches, we all like to complain about that. It is. I think there was players like that even when I played. You've got to find the right guys, the ones that align with the right things. And there's a lot of guys that are going to have the winning attributes, the attitude, the toughness, the selflessness. They might have all that. They're just in a lot different position than I ever was. Like, they can monetize themselves. I understand it at this point. Like, I get it. Okay, I understand it. Like, is it frustrating for all of us? Yeah, heck yeah. You know, there's a realistic chance that I brought in 3 or 4 kids in the current roster that they go out and they do exactly what we thought they were capable of, and then after the year they decide, you know what, I played my way into. It's almost like when I went to Europe. You go to Europe professionally, you signed a 1-year deal, and your 1-year deal was to be like, all right, let me see if I can outplay this contract. I mean, that's basically what we've created in college basketball in a lot of ways. It's our job as head coaches especially to go out and, can you sift through to the debris a little bit and get the right kids? Get the kids that can commit to you for 2 years, maybe 3. I mean, the day and age of 4-year guys might in a lot of times be over. You hope they aren't, because I love that process. I love the relationship piece. Like, that's what I fell in love with in coaching. But, just not necessarily fully realistic. But at the same time, you can find all those winning attributes. They just might not be for the extended period of time that you thought they would.
It's an interesting thing to bring up. I had a discussion with a father of a Cornell player as we played Cornell last year about the relative ascension of the Ivy League now, because a lot of those guys are there to get that degree.
Yeah.
And there won't be maybe as many transfers out of the Ivy League, and therefore conference rankings, you're going to see the Ivy League creeping up a little when they keep guys together for 4 years.
Yep.
That seem like a solid analysis?
Yeah, I think it's spot on. I do. But you saw that the Ivy League, they got hit a little bit this year. We didn't expect to see it, but a lot of guys now from the Ivy League are leaving. So no one's safe.
I wonder if it's like, a lot of their dads work in finance, and maybe their dads were like, you know what, I'd like you to have that degree, but
yeah,
why don't you go get paid now?
yeah. I mean, a lot of them have left, but it does make sense. And you see a lot of coaches, like you saw even what Coach Cal talked about. I mean, he questioned it after they lost in the NCAA tournament. Do I need to go out and get older players? Because, that's what a lot of the coaches are doing. They have the opportunity to get old fast, and they're going to go after fourth and fifth year players. It's just when you're playing 22, 23, 24-year-olds over 18, 19, 20-year-olds, usually at this level, it does make a big difference. And, I think for us, and I've said this even in terms of my recruiting philosophy, I've got to continue to go out and recruit high-level players in high school that I would have recruited at Syracuse.
Right.
And the reason for that is because those high school kids got to start to look at is it smart for me to go to X, Y, and Z in the Big East, ACC, SEC, whatever, these Power 5 conferences, where I know they're going to go out and recruit maybe one or two guys in the transfer portal that are going to be 22 years old.
Sure.
How much playing time am I going to get right away? So what is more beneficial for my career? Would it be to go to Siena, to go to so-and-so and have an opportunity as a freshman to get real minutes, to develop on the court, to get real production? Because we all know this is a production-based business.
Yep.
And what are the big Power 5 level teams looking at in the transfer portal? Production. So they want to see what a proven product is. And so for me, in terms of recruiting, I've got to continue to recruit like I did at Syracuse.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things for you have been such a good coach at developing young players over a span of 15 years at Syracuse. You mentioned there's guys like Michael Carter-Williams, C.J. Fair, Tyler Ennis, Elijah Hughes, the list goes on and on, Buddy Boeheim.
Yeah.
So you've had these players that you've groomed, and some of them have really had strong success. How is that going to be such an appeal for players now who want to come to the mid-major of Siena?
Well, I think the biggest thing, we've talked about this in recruiting. One of the great things we did at Syracuse, and I still probably one of the more underrated things about Coach Boeheim, is how much freedom he gave his assistant coaches to develop, to spend a lot of time in that process. And his belief that he would say to us every summer, you have to become a better individual for you to help us become a better team. And it's something that I've always really appreciated, because I really appreciate it the most because it allowed me to create my own style of being a coach, of who I became, because I was given the freedom to become that person. And, one of the things that we talked to all the guys that we had in on our visits was that process. Like, we're not going to devalue the development process. Just because you're coming here and you might be a transfer, you might be a junior, you might have 1 year left, like, I'm still not going to back up. I'm not going to, all the time that we spend isn't going to be just practice. For 15 straight years at Syracuse, I worked with the guards primarily. We practiced at 4 o'clock. I was on the court at 3 o'clock every day, for the most part. There might be a couple dozen days over that 15-year stretch that ran into a coaching meeting. But 3 o'clock every day with the guards, hour of skill work before 4 o'clock practice. So you're on the court for an hour before practice, working. That's what I intend on doing here. I've had that conversation with my coaches. It's why I hired the staff I did, because I wanted to match everything. I wanted the personality. I wanted the ability to be on the court. I wanted them to all be good recruiters, good people. But the development process of who they were and who they could be working with players was really, really important to me. I want these kids to get better. I want them to really, really love the coach they're working with. And I brought in guys that they will love, that they will want to work with, because the guys I brought in care about them as people. So I've been very strategic in terms of the quality of person that I brought into my program from a coaching side, because the developmental piece to me is the cornerstone of my program. I'm not going to devalue that process because it's too vital and important.
Do you think players are you looking for coachable players, or are you looking for players that you see just a high ceiling?
Combination. I think I'd like to think that I could recruit the player that has a high ceiling that I can still maintain the coachability with, But that's over time. I've done this for so long now that I've worked with so many different personalities that I've you duck and weave, and you see this attitude and that one, and you figure out how to talk to different people. And at the end of the day, you break them down, and the way you break them down is you spend time with them. It's that simple. I mean, respect goes both ways, and you're not just going to trust me and respect me. I have to show you that I'm in this with you, that I earn your trust, your respect. I earn the right to coach you because I've been willing to show up here every day and work with you. I've been willing to care about you in the moments that no one sees. That's an hour before practice, because my only objective is to see you become your best version.
Scott, you got any more questions for Gerry?
Gerry, I really appreciate the time. I know we're trying to complete the roster, and then hopefully you'll be able to get out on the golf course. So I have one parting shot for you, a prediction.
Okay.
Nothing to do with basketball. What will you shoot your first 18 holes you play this season?
What will I shoot?
What will you shoot?
First 18 holes.
You're a pretty good golfer.
What's par?
Jim Boeheim told me that he shot one heck of a score at Augusta. So I want to hear if it's a local, let's say a local private course you may be playing at soon.
Okay.
What are you par 70? What are you going to shoot there?
My first round, full 18 holes. It's got to be 70 degrees or above.
It'll be 71 that day.
I need, I'm not as limber as I used to be. 78.
78.
Yeah.
Okay. What distance? 6,500 yards, 66.
We can play the tips.
Okay.
Yeah,
Tips.
it
All right.
doesn't matter.
Good. Gerry, thank you for your time.
pleasure.
I got one
Yeah.
final question for you, Gerry. From all your experience, what's the biggest piece of advice you could give to young athletes playing at the collegiate level today?
Don't cheat the process. It's not going to happen by accident. I've been really lucky. Some of my great stories. It's why the current state of the game hurts me the most is the guys that had to fight, that didn't play a lot as a freshman, that had to fight their way in as a sophomore, that was really good by a junior. Is you can't cheat the process. You've got to give it everything you got. You got to be consistent. You've got to change. It's not going to happen by accident. It's really not. You can't get frustrated. You got to put your head down and keep moving, but you can't cheat it. And when you get down, that's when you got to fight harder. But I've just seen it too many times with guys that break through. It was the high that I always had in this thing, was seeing a guy finally get it, finally understand it. But what happened to all those guys that I worked with that finally got it, finally understood it, was they didn't cheat it. They showed up every day and they put the work in, and eventually they broke through.
I love it. That's a great piece of advice, Gerry. And soon enough, the weather's going to be warmer. You get to play some golf, and it's going to be a good time.
Sounds good to me.
I want to thank Gerry for being here. Also, thanks to Joe and Carter, who's already gone off into the real world. We hope to bring back the podcast in the fall. Maybe August still lives close enough, and maybe we'll bring him back. So we'll have some real insight with GMAC and some of the players come fall time. Thanks for everybody for watching. Joe, any parting shots before you take off? Joe's going on a cruise.
Yeah, that'll
must
do it.
be
We're
nice.
going on
Yeah.
a nice cruise. That'll do it for the show. Gerry McNamara, Scott Noel, I'm Joe Lemery. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you next time.